What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett,
Lance.
and this is Rants or Us. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000, and we hope you guys can help us get there. All right, so Walker, episode 6. What'd you think, Lance?
I hated
You hated it. See,
it.
normally,
Absolutely.
I feel like that's my job, Lance. To hate it.
Yo, I've been a defender of this show since it came out, and this episode there's just not much to defend. It was pretty weak all the way around,
Mm-hmm.
and I doubt that many people are going to disagree with me. Like I doubt people are going to be pissed off about this. It just sucked. It sucked. The
Ah,
acting was horrible. Jared Padalecki going nutso every other scene was just bad acting, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Jared Padalecki.
it's like he was playing a really bad Jack Nicholson when he's breaking through that doorway in that what is that? The Shine? Is it The Shining? I don't want to get it
Yeah,
wrong. Sorry, Stephen King fans.
yeah.
But I mean, where he's
It's,
breaking through that door and he's like, "Here's Jack" or something like that. That's the way he reminded me in the most mundane of situations. It's
yeah,
like your wife died. You don't want to talk about that. I mean, it's like ah. And I'm like,
I mean,
seriously, dude. Like that's an
I get,
overreaction.
I get the whole. Hey,
Not 4 times. I counted 4 times this episode. He did it. Four
yeah, no, I
freaking
get that. But
times.
what I'm saying is, I can get the whole. Okay, you want to come after my fucking badge? Come after my badge, but quit talking about my wife.
I kind of feel like,
The first time he did it, but then he just kept on and
yeah.
on.
And
I just
another,
thought it was all stupid. I thought it was horribly stupid that all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, I'm going to sell the bar." The hell you are? It's her bar.
that's her bar. And then he literally, like, I will defend him in a lot of different ways, but what he did to Jerry in this one was ridiculous. He was like, "Oh well, actually, you got some problems back here, and I'm gonna have to, we'll
Oh, it
close
could have
on you
been
or
a
something like that."
sabotage. So
Yeah,
this is now a crime scene. I was
yeah,
like, what?
and so I'm like, that's actually really illegal what you're doing there, man. Like you're
Especially when you're already going to trial for excessive force or whatever the hell it was. But
I felt like that. Look, I felt like
you're already in enough trouble. Why are you going to abuse your power right now? Like,
I
is
feel
what
like
I'm getting at.
yeah, I
Like,
feel like if you're gonna like get him on anything, it wasn't because he slammed the guy on anything. It was because he literally was trying to blackmail his friend, like in that way, using his powers as a Texas Ranger to get what he wanted. That is highly, highly illegal. And they kind of did it, played it off as a joke, but if you really think about that in real life, that would really suck. Somebody doing you that way, like it's like she literally could not sell her bar because of
she
that.
literally was gonna anyway, though. Apparently.
Yeah, but I mean that to me was just like crazy on his part. I didn't like his acting.
Now,
I did
the
not
only
like.
thing,
Normally,
the
that's the
only
one
thing
thing
I
I love about
really,
this show.
the only thing I really enjoyed about this episode was Hoyt when
Hmm.
they were trying to use Hoyt, and he was like, "You put me in a cell with the person who killed it, Emily Walker, and I would kill it."
I
You realize
like the Hoyt thing all the way around, except for the one part when Hoyt goes all Sherlock Holmes and he finds out the guy's
I
got
felt
what
like
was it,
okay,
Lou Gehrig's disease,
I
and you're
like
telling
I
me
felt
that
like
they
they could
killed
have.
him in the prison?
I felt like they could have had him find that out to give them that clue with more explanation of how he found out than what they did, and it wouldn't be so silly.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I get it. The guy's a
If
con.
somehow, if somehow he paid off a guard or something to get a look at his medical records and found out that way, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But the way, like,
The way he was holding his hands and those kind of things, and about his niece or whatever. I thought, okay, that is a reach right there. Like that's a reach.
Well,
Like
the whole niece thing actually made sense towards the end when you find some other things out, but I just thought that the big shockers of this episode were supposed to be um, her having something to do with Emily's death, and then Trevor's dad being that guy that Walker used to be undercover with. Yeah, and I seen both of these things coming. I knew that that kid's dad was going to have something to do with it. We've talked about that before, and I knew that she had something to do with Emily dying, or I know a lot of fan theory is that she helped Emily fake her own death, which I'm like, I don't understand why they would do it that way, so I'm not buying into that theory much. But
it's like, that's one thing this show is really bad about. It's bad about hiding what is supposed to be surprising.
Yeah, it's just like another thing with this episode when he got the insurance check in the mail, and then she was like, "I'm selling the bar." I'm like, "Well, we know who you're selling it to."
Yeah, I kind of feel like, even the whole, the guy spitting on him thing, when they made such a big deal of it in that episode, I'm like, that's going to be something that's going to be brought up in another episode, because she's done worse in a lot of different ways with things. He's done worse.
I didn't care for the Mickey's mom's storyline thing at all.
Mickey's mom.
I didn't like her mom, but I just don't like the whole storyline of I came to town to screw your partner over just to teach you a lesson that I can, or I don't know what the lesson was really supposed to be. But I thought that was really bad. I thought the whole she gets arrested at the end and everybody's like, what just happened? That was stupid.
I kind of feel like the whole, if there was any lesson that should have been taught in this, was Micky should have gone to her mom and said, you cannot ruin a man's life just because you're trying to teach me a lesson.
No, that was the worst part of it. That was the worst part of it for me at the end when she comes home and her mom and her boyfriend are cooking her dinner and she's like, well, you're not eating takeout for 3 days in a row, blah, 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 blah. She's like, so did you really randomly get assigned to this case? And she's like, no. You think I'd miss a chance to teach my daughter a lesson? And you can tell it bothered Micky, yeah, but she's just like, ha, 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 that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't think that was funny.
And I'm like, what?
Really could ruin a man's life.
Like, yeah, I'm like, man's got kids. This is not okay.
They want to do that crap. Like, I just was like, these people don't understand real life ramifications at all. And it's like, and maybe it's because I'm a father, and maybe it's because I'm a husband. Maybe it strikes a chord with me. And I know it feels that way with you too. Like, I mean, it is like we notice these things, and some of those things just as that kind of piss us off, because you're going to cost the man his job, his life, livelihood, just because you're pissy at your daughter about something. That don't seem.
Well, whatever, and they still making it seem like the whole reason she's mad at her is you're a Texas Ranger. And that never much made sense to me until the end, though. And it still don't make much sense. But she gets arrested. Maybe she didn't want your daughter to be a federal agent because you knew you were committing felonies left and right, apparently.
You want to know something? Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, the woman, I mean, just right off the bat, when she's talking about, what she's doing with Walker in the first place, or going to do with Walker, to me, that is really kind of a crime in itself. I mean, it's not probably in the.
It's definitely immoral.
Yeah, it's definitely not a moral thing, and it's definitely not something that somebody in her position should do. She'd get fired for it if you bring in personal feelings like that. So, I mean, to me, there was
she did say, Micky did say that. She's like, you're going to be the one on his case. How's that not a conflict of interest? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's just not realistic that she would
But
actually be able to
it's
take
kind of
that.
like, okay, it's kind of like, yeah, I know Liam's a ADA or whatever, but there's no way he would be able to work Emily's case. That's his sister-in-law.
Okay,
That's not realistic either.
I'm getting kind of pissed off at Liam. I'm kind of like I don't really understand why Walker's not being brought in on this. I feel like if anybody, it doesn't matter if he's a Texas Ranger or what he is, when someone's wife or husband gets killed, and you're telling me that you don't go to them and say, well, maybe the person
And
that was caught
update
on this
them.
might actually not be the guilty party. I feel like that's something that they should need to
I feel
know.
like they have the right to know
I
that.
feel like they do, and for them to just be like, well, we're actually going to hide that. Well, and how is that not like you said? How's that not a conflict of interest with Liam? Like
Well,
there's so
even
many.
you know what, you can even go so far as to say for Captain James as well, because him and Walker were partners. He was close with her too, so that means he
Yeah.
has a conflict of interest there too because his friend got murdered.
Oh, no doubt. I actually agree
So
with you on
I
that.
feel like it's been conflict of interest all the way around the whole show. Like when they're talking to Walker about things, but like there's things about that case. Sorry, it's been a long day. But there's things about that case that Walker shouldn't even know about unless he's working that case, and there's no way he was working that case.
No, I don't
Not
even.
for the department anyway. He might have been going and working that crap when he was on leave because.
And see, why was that even brought up by Mickey's mom? About like that case had nothing to do with Emily's case.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, I don't know.
why
That's the
was that
thing.
even
I
brought
don't
up?
understand why she was like, when she was trying to coach him,
Hmm.
that she kept bringing up that stuff because that had nothing to do with the action that he's getting in trouble for.
No, it had
What he
literally
did when he
nothing to
was
do with that.
undercover, what he did was undercover had nothing to do with the case that he was getting written up for, or threatened to have his badge taken away, or none of that.
Yeah,
So I don't understand why she was even bringing that up, and I guess that
I
was
don't either.
his point too. Like, you know what? She has nothing to do with this. Why are you bringing her up? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I do get his frustration. I just think that his frustrations and his outrages could have been acted out a little better.
I think so too. Well,
And like I said, that really bothers me to say that about Jerry Padalecki, but the fact is. I mean,
this was by far his weakest episode. To me.
ever.
Yeah. I wouldn't even go so far as say I've watched him. I know you and I both have watched him on Supernatural. I can't really think of an episode even from Supernatural or from this show that I ever thought was this.
No,
weak
this
of an
performance
episode
was
from
it.
him. I
Look,
think this was
man.
all time.
I'm gonna catch. I'll probably catch heat, but this performance was worse than his performance in like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
This was by far the worst acting I've ever seen out of him.
Yeah, I actually
And I don't
agree with you
understand
on
what
that.
happened. I'm like,
I actually
why
agree
did
with
y'all
you
do
on that.
this? And I like to blame the directing. Like somebody should be like, okay, cut, that didn't work. We're not doing that
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah,
You
some of those scenes should not have been on there.
Yeah, they shouldn't slip through the
I'm
cracks like that. And that's not. We a lot of people probably hear us talk about these shows and think we're talking about the writing mostly when we cut down these shows, but that's not even on the writing.
Than it
You
was
know that.
writing.
So directing in my way, because the director should catch this and be like, "That was bad. Let's try something else." You got to direct your crew into the right path, and so if you can't do that, you're failing as a director. So,
well, what did you think of the kids this episode?
the kids didn't bother me much this episode. Normally,
they did me. They did me.
Not me.
I did not like. I mean,
there was
Stella
too
didn't
much.
bother me.
There was too much
August bothered me.
See, August didn't bother me that much because he wasn't really a part of it.
Just the little comments that they made kind of bothered me. The
I
one
was
by
too
far
focused
that
on
bothered
every
me was
other show
Abilene.
sucking so much to worry about what the kids were doing.
Well, see, the one that the kids, I don't think it was their worst performance. I just don't think it was very good. The one that drove me crazy, the worst offender in this episode was Abilene. I feel
Yeah.
like she was so poor in this episode. And when it comes to her acting,
Well,
when it comes to her dialogue, everything was off.
well,
I
just
did
her
not like
character,
her.
her storyline, period, this time around just made her look like a heartless person. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
now I understand. Obviously, she had the right to be like, we don't know this kid, so we shouldn't trust him because clearly he's up to some shit. But going on how it was looking, she was just a horrible human being to this kid for no reason other than, oh, my granddaughter asked you to take her camping and not me.
and tell me if this makes sense, Lance. You remember when her and Bonham got into an argument about Hoyt?
Yeah.
About how she took in this troubled kid and she had a soft spot for him, and then she just turns around and is like a complete and total douche to this one. That doesn't
Yeah,
make
and
any sense.
she even says that about after all the crap you gave me about taking in Hoyt, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I'm evolving.
Yeah, but she's devolving. I mean,
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, because I was like, why are you being such a jerk to this kid? Like, this kid's actually being really
and it's
nice to
like,
you
but it's like
in this
Bonham said.
situation.
He said, she said, Bonham even said, "Are you mad that she wants to go camping with your granddaughter wants to go camping with this boy, or are you mad because she didn't ask you to go?"
And why were they doing all this on her their mother's death day? Like,
Because apparently they thought she liked to go camping. I don't know.
given I'm like, why? Why would that be a day that you would want to celebrate in any form or fashion to do anything? That should be a day that you could just kind of go and greet people.
I don't think it
I'd be
was like
like, let's go camping on that day.
celebratory. I think it was trying to honor her in a way that they could not focus so hardcore on the depression this day brings. Like it's kind of like a healthy distraction.
I think it would be, and this is just me. You tell me if you'd be any different. If my wife and my kids was going off trying to have a good day on the 1 year anniversary of my death, I might be a tad bit offended by that. Be like, do it on my
See,
birthday,
I'm different on
do it
that.
on
I'm
Father's
different on
Day,
that
do it on
because
something like that, but not on, like, what are you doing, man? Like, yeah, I mean, I just felt
see,
that way.
we differ on that one. That doesn't bother me because people have to mourn their way,
Yeah,
and
and
if
I get
that's
it,
part
but
of
people,
and that if that's part of their healing process, then more power to
yeah.
you.
And I almost kind of feel like it involving children, kind of pushing them into a situation like that kind of seemed wrong to a certain extent, unless it was their idea.
See, like I
I
said,
don't remember if it was
I
their
didn't even
idea or
give
not.
this. It was the kid's idea.
Oh, it was the kid's idea. See, I didn't know. Now
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit better because if
Walker
it
says
was
that at the
Walker's idea
beginning.
or Abilene's or something, I'd
No,
have
he
been
said
fine.
that it was their idea at the beginning. It was just his idea to have them come to the bar and camp there or something. I don't know. Anyway,
The bar camping
um,
in somebody else's place without their permission
well,
seems.
she did give him the keys.
She did give him the keys because he forced her to give him the keys. But then you're
I
like,
can't argue with you about this. Look,
but then at the same
okay,
time, like it's
like I
one
was
thing to
saying,
do
the
that,
thing.
and then he's like, not only am I going to take your place, I'm going to go renovate that junk. Not only am I going to not just renovate it, I'm going to go camping here with my kids because there's nothing wrong with
Granted,
anything that I'm doing. Like that
granted,
seems. How
I
is
will
the
give you
kids
that.
not
I will
like
give you
this?
that. But
Isn't
the
our
only problem
place?
is I don't have no sympathy for that woman because at the end of the day, she's a crook.
She is, and look, did him getting that life insurance check, like, all of a sudden cause her to want to do something with the bar? Like, I didn't really
No,
quite
I think
understand
that
that.
was legit. Like she was like, "I'm getting the hell out of here. This bar's falling apart.
I mean,
Here's your mail."
I get why they kind of did it. It's like you were even telling me off camera, about it's just kind of you knew from the very beginning they were going to buy the bar because of that check or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
So
like I said,
I felt like there could have been a little bit that could have been done a little bit differently. I felt like maybe she could have said something about wanting to sell the bar and him being pissed off that she was gonna, and then him finding the check and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna match it,"
yeah,
instead of the other way around. Like you already knew he had the money. Like,
yeah. But I'll tell you this:
so you seen it coming.
them finding out that maybe she's somehow behind. What is
She's making payments. We know that.
Huh?
She's making the payments. We know that for a fact.
But exactly, how does a woman that's owning a bar have something
I'm
to do
telling you,
with paying a
man.
guy off like that? Like, I mean,
The cartel is paying her to pay him off.
but doesn't that seem like a really stupid thing to do? Because if somebody does like even the most minor police work, they're gonna find a connection with her and giving that guy's niece that kind of stuff. Like I mean, all it would take is like even the most simple police work.
But you got to think about that too. They got away with this shit for a whole year.
Yeah.
They found it. They found out just because that Captain and Liam didn't accept something.
I know, and they never really explained what they.
If they hadn't been like, I'm bored, we're gonna open this case back up, they would have got away with this shit.
It seems like it, but I mean, okay.
And they still haven't got caught because she's taken out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of okay. This is where I'm not a cop by
So
any
if
stretch
she's
of
retired,
imagination, but I will
if
say
she's
this.
retiring and going down to Mexico, they ain't gonna catch her.
Yeah, but I'm not a cop by any stretch of the imagination, so maybe I can't speak on that too well. But I will say this: one of my pet hobbies is genealogy, and I do a lot more looking and digging into things than what I feel like they did over a man's life that's got life in prison for something. Like I feel like that's just piss poor police.
I feel like Lou Gehrig's disease. I feel like Lou Gehrig's disease was the wrong way to go because I feel like that would be hard to hide in your medical records. Like
I don't see how that could even be.
I'm good.
Like how could he sneak that particular medicine in? Like,
see, you know what? I don't know how prisons work. I ain't never tried to smuggle anything in or out, so I don't know how that part works. But
seemed like an odd request. I need some medicine for my Lou Gehrig. Like I get it, drugs, contraband in that way, but medicine for Lou Gehrig's disease, and then no one's noticing the needles. What is he doing, shoving those needles up his butt? Like, how is he?
I guess that's how they do it. I don't know.
like that's a sharp object he could use to kill somebody with. So it's like,
yeah, I don't think he would just have access to that in his cell or nothing.
No, but I mean, where was he storing it? Like,
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know, man.
Want to know, and that.
Why not? They could be delivering it to him in them books. If the guards is getting paid off, they could be smuggling it into them books, and he's giving it to himself out there in the cell.
I mean, it could be Jerry that's doing it, or I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Look, or it could be Hoyt.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I really
okay. You know how? Okay, so Hoyt's all in love with that girl still. Mm-hmm. Wait till he finds out she had something to do with her dying.
No, I know. That's gonna.
She's screwed off. She's screwed all the way around.
I suspected her from the very beginning. Especially as
we've done videos where we've talked about this before.
Yeah. We've talked about this on prior episode reviews where, she says that, I closed the eyes of your dead wife. And they never explained how she was there.
Why she was there.
Yeah. That. And I just feel
how
like
she found her before.
Yeah. And
the authorities did.
Yeah. And I just kind of feel like not only that, but exactly why didn't Walker question her a little bit more about that? Like, wait a second. Why were you down there with my wife? And how were you able to find her and yet somehow be alive, but you found her? Did you go and hide while they were killing my wife? Or what exactly was going on. I feel like that should
Yeah.
have been something that Liam, Cordell, any of these people
Somebody
should be
should,
pushing.
got some information on them. But okay, let me ask you this. Overall, where would you rate this?
I would rate this as barely a 5 out of 10. That's how poorly I thought it was.
You're more generous than me. I'm like 3.5, 4 at best. At best.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tempted.
There was just so much.
Very tempted.
Like I said, some
So
of the
much
stuff
fun.
about the kids I didn't even hone in on just because I was already like, this show sucks.
Like
This episode sucks.
Yeah, this episode was bad.
So nothing the kids did really bothered me because everything else was so much worse for me.
Normally, I'm like, the saving grace is Jared Padalecki's acting. I feel like sometimes he goes above and beyond. This one, I feel like he hindered it and brought it down. If his acting was even average,
I feel like if it
I
wasn't
would
for
give it like a 6 or a 7.
I feel like if it wasn't for Hoyt's role, just period, like, hey, just so you know, put me in the cell and I find out he did kill her, I'm gonna have a longer life sentence. I'm gonna have a longer sentence when you come back.
And I'm like, why get Hoyt to do?
I knew that's what they were doing as soon as she was like, we need somebody on the inside. I was like, that was the whole purpose for bringing Hoyt in and having him get arrested, was to put him here to investigate Carlos. And I'm like,
I know, but
it's just my issue with this show so far is, like I said, I've been a big defender in previous episodes. Mm-hmm. Don't believe me? Go watch the prior videos. But with this one, I was just like, man, this whole season's kind of sucked now for me, because it was like that whole episode was, look, how are you season 1, episode 2, and already have to have a filler episode that leads to something else later? It wasn't really an important episode. It was just to introduce you to Hoyt, have him get arrested so he would be there for this. And that makes this whole season kind of suck for me. Like,
I agree with
I'm
you.
starting to lose hope on this show, and when that happens, I don't know what to do, because I'm usually the one that comes up with reasons to give it hope.
Yeah. I know. I'm either wearing.
I'm running out of gas here.
This is a really bad episode.
It was bad. I'm running out of gas, and so if they don't pick it up next week, I'll be like,
yeah.
All right, Brady, you're right.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to this, I've said every week that I feel like it misses on some things, but I have hope for it. I don't feel that way this episode. I feel like the acting was just
the only thing.
I feel like it's going backwards.
The only thing I am currently excited about is Superman and Lois. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point,
kind of odd that they're on the exact same.
It was Superman and Lois and Walker, and now I'm like, no, I'll just have hope for Superman and Lois.
But it's like everything that Superman and Lois gets right, Walker gets wrong. And I'm like,
and they're on the same network.
But
the thing, it's on the same network, but it doesn't have the same writers and it doesn't have the same directors.
It doesn't.
And I think the directing really plays a part in this. If you want to go attack somebody, attack the director, because if you cannot direct your crew to fix this and get it right, you're not the man for the job.
Yeah, I kind of actually agree.
Because it's not the writing, and it's not completely the acting that is wrong with this. It's the way they're building it up. My biggest problem with this whole show is nothing happens where I'm like, seen that coming.
Yeah, no, I feel that way too. I feel like everything that they do is so, I don't know. It's like
telegraphed.
It's like someone that thinks that they're smarter than what they really are. It's like
whoever's running this show.
It's like
whoever's running the show is telegraphing their next moves. Everything they do, when you're able to be like, oh, you see how they did that? Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're telegraphing, and that makes a boring show. Like, nothing surprises me. Nothing gets me like, oh, wow, what's going to happen now? Nothing makes me want to be like, I can't wait to set record so I can watch the next episode.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I mean, I
you
got
don't have that
halfway.
excitement factor. What do you got?
I got halfway through this episode and I was already thinking of the next episode. I mean, and that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign when you're already kind of phased out of the episode and you're not
Yeah,
even
I
halfway
mean, or
through it.
just the show in general. I'm like, the show ends, and I'm like, thank God I got another week.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, we got a lot more weeks of this. I feel like they're not even.
No, I mean, no, what I'm saying is, I'm more like, thank God I got a whole week before I have to watch this again. Instead of being like, I can't believe I have to wait a week. I'm thankful that I have to wait a week.
It's like all American all over again for me. Like no,
See,
I won't
that was
even.
you. I actually enjoyed that
I
show.
won't
I can't.
say I don't want to. I don't want to even put Walker in that same category. All American to me was one of those shows that I enjoyed the first season, and then the second season come about. I was like, please
See,
make
me
this
and you
end.
differ on
Please make
that.
this stop. What are
Me
they
and
on?
you
Season
differ on
4
that
now? Are
because,
they
like,
still?
me and you differ on that with a lot of shows. We were like that with All American, and we were like that. We were completely like that with
The boys.
Mayans because you were like, I liked the first season. I was like, I hated the first season. I didn't get into it until the second season.
I think the one thing,
And you
yeah, I
didn't
think,
much care for the second season.
yeah, you and I, we disagreed on that, but we kind of disagree on Mayans altogether. You think Mayans is better than Sons of Anarchy? I kind of still fall in
No,
the
I
favor of
don't
Sons
think
of
it's
Anarchy.
better than Sons of Anarchy. I think it has the potential to be better.
So you, well, I mean, I would kind of agree with you on that. I think it does have the potential to be that. I just feel like it doesn't
Now,
live up to
I
the
will
high
say
bar.
this. I will say this. I feel like that is the type of show. If there had never been a Sons of Anarchy and he had started with
Yeah,
Mines, I
yeah.
think it would be
No, I
it would
agree.
have made it just fine, you know.
I agree with you on that, and I will say
But
this about
that's
Walker
not what
real
this is
quick.
about.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that, but I will also say this when it comes to Walker. I don't compare Walker to the original Walker anymore. I look at this show as on its own, and I guess that's credit to them. But at the same time, I'm judging it on its own now, on its own merits, and that's why I judge it a little bit
No, I can
harder
see
than
that.
what
Now,
I did at
I
first.
do think that there's some things they did. Believe it or not, I think there's some things they did a little bit better in the
Oh yeah,
original
I think
Walker
so
than what
too.
they're doing in this. But for the most part, I don't miss the martial arts part or none of that, you know.
That never should have been
But
in any show.
overall, I feel like this was a very
So you give it a 3 out of 10. I give it
weak
a 5 out of
episode.
10. I
I
think
would
that
say I gave it a 3.5 to a 4 at best.
all right, and that's fair. I think that's actually fair. I'll be honest with you. I kind of wanted to give it close to that. I feel like I'm being way too generous on the 5, but you know what? I'll say it. I've said it the last couple of weeks, and I'll say it again. Maybe next season they'll grow on something. It will get better. Maybe. I'm starting to.
I'm losing hope on that.
I'm
See,
getting tired of the maybes. I'm really getting tired of the maybes on this show. I want it to perform the way I want it to. It don't have to be perfect. I just want it to be adequate. Just
I just
adequate.
think I I was good with the other episodes. Like honestly, I mean, were they great episodes? Not all of them,
No.
but this one was bad for me. Like it's just bad.
It's like I compare it. Now I compare it. I know they're two separate shows. I compared to Superman and Lois, and I look at how great Superman and Lois hits on every cylinder, and this show just literally could go that mark, but when it gets to that, it's like it sputters, and then
And
it's
the
like
check
they miss the
engine
mark
light's on for
every
sure.
single time. I mean, it's
Their
almost
check engine light is on for sure.
yeah, definitely. But as always, guys, let us know what y'all think. Let us know if y'all enjoy this episode and we're just completely and totally off base, which we're not. On that. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.